Right now, I want to welcome to the program from the Independent Women's Forum, our friend Julie Gunlock. Julie, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Always my pleasure. And I'm always curious what you're going to be writing about. This one, I confess, we didn't talk about this on the story or on the show, but we certainly can. And I'm not one to, rail about Lena Dunham. I honestly don't ever think about Lena Dunham, but I am an unabashed dog lover, right? I mean, I have 3 dogs right now. I would be like the crazy dog guy. If you have the crazy cat lady, I would be the crazy dog guy. I would have 20 dogs if I could. I love my dogs. And Lena Dunham said that she loved her dog too. But then she gave it away, Julie. She gave it back.
Right.
And the
Right.
shelter that she adopted the dog from is calling her out because Lena Dunham had this story about, I tried so hard and he was just abused and he was hurt when I got him. I didn't realize. And the shelter says, no, he was fine. He was a good dog. And they're kind of ticked at Lena Dunham.
Yeah, I don't blame them. But also, it's, I was asked to write on this, and so I looked into it, and her relationship with that dog was really weird. Which I know, shocker, Lena Dunham or whatever her name is, acting weird. I mean, that's sort of her reputation. She acts weird about everything. But she and her boyfriend, he's in a band, they adopted this dog and then got the dog its own Twitter feed, its own Instagram feed, would refer to the dog, actually gave the dog the last name of the boyfriend. So his name was Lambie, I think Antonoff, and Antonoff is the name of the boyfriend. And so there was a lot of sort of treating this dog like a child. And like the dog was mentioned in Vogue articles, and when they were interviewed, they were constantly talking about the dog. But then, of course, you can treat the dog like a child and act like parents of the dog. But then when it comes to dealing with what she said were behavioral problems, they did the unthinkable, which is giving the dog back. I mean, you can't give a child back. So they sort of treated this dog like a child until it became a problem, and then they gave it back. But you're right. The shelter itself, the adoption agency where they got this dog, and the shelter that is now caring for the dog has pushed back, saying that she's sort of making this up. And again, look, these stars, these Hollywood stars, they do this. They adopt animals. They have children. They're accessories. And then they have a really hard time actually acting responsible towards them. So she's getting a lot of guff for this, and I think it's well-deserved. I'm not sure it has any impact on her, but it just shows her to yet again be this sort of person who really can't actually care about anything except herself.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because we got a little more than a year ago, we got our youngest dog, Booker. And we adopted him probably like 6 weeks before my wife first got sick. And then there was like that 3-month period where we didn't know what was going on. So she's going to all these doctor's appointments. At the same time, Booker, the puppy, is growing up. And so he did not get the attention that we needed to give him. He didn't get the training that we needed to give him. And when things finally settled down with my wife's health, I realized, okay, now this is beyond what I can do in terms of, my knowledge on how to train this dog. I'm doing the best I can, but man, he's just still acting up. I didn't get rid of Booker. I didn't say, Booker, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to go be an outside dog somewhere else like that. No, he was my dog. So I found a dog trainer, and a great one, and Booker got better. He's still not perfect, but I just can't imagine, like you say, and look, and Julie, here's the thing, I know my dogs are my dogs. My dogs aren't my kids, but I can't imagine just getting rid of a dog because, I just feel like I can't deal with them. At that point, apparently the new owner is fine with the dog, and that's something, I suppose. I'm glad the dog's in a good home now. But you're right. It's that sense of entitlement that we see from, I would say, a lot of celebrities, and it does have a trickle-down effect on the rest of us, right? And this sense that...
It
everything else
people.
around us is
Yeah.
just discardable, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and again, she wants to appear woke and up on the latest sort of issue, and rescue dogs and animal welfare seems to, but animals take care. Animals actually do take care. You have to care for these things that you own and that you take care of. I am currently in a situation where my children are all requesting a dog. We do not yet own a dog, and I have 3 little boys. So I feel like I already clean up enough crap around my house. So I'm not really interested in getting an animal. And so I keep joking with my husband that when it finally comes time for us to get a dog, I'm going to look for like a 16-year-old dog. So he won't be around for very long. And I actually put that in my article. I said, look, this is what these Hollywood stars should do. They should adopt these geriatric dogs that aren't around. I mean, it's just about their attention span. They can handle a dog for that long, like 2-3 years. And then there's none of this nasty sort of PR program.
You're giving Hollywood far too much credit. That would be lovely if they did that, but you know what's going to happen? And these elderly dogs get to have a caring home for the last months of their life. That's great, but that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is there's going to be some, veterinarian to the stars who's going to come up with a little toy poodle that can fit in your purse and has a lifespan of about 72 hours. That's what's going to happen.
Okay. And that's actually perfect for me, frankly. I will be first in line for that dog. I'm going to get some hate mail.
You're awful.
I love dogs.
You're awful. I'm going to write it. What are you talking about? Next commercial break.
Sorry.
I'm firing off an email to you. Don't.
Hey, I don't yet have a dog. Okay. I don't yet have a dog. So we're putting it off for a little while longer.
All right. It's a good thing Cameron's distracted right now. You'd probably be banned from the show. Talking about dogs that way. Speaking again with Julie Gunlock from the Independent Women's Forum. So how's your summer going, Julie, with the kids being home? Are you okay? You holding up?
Totally fine. Everything's great.
Good.
Totally fine.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Our kids go back to school in like a couple of weeks already.
Really? Oh, I'm just at the halfway mark, and honestly, it's been okay. It's disruptive. I work from home, and I'm hoping right now they don't bust in the room BBC style, make me famous. But so it's tough, but you get through it. And honestly, with all the, they've got, I'm not one of these, I simply can't afford to sort of stack their camps like some lucky parents do. So after we go on vacation and there is a couple camps here and there, it's back to school. So it's easy to endure a couple weeks of them being home, but it's definitely disruptive.
Well, good for you. We're at the stage of summer vacation where I was just looking at the summer reading list for all of my kids last night and asking the question, have you read a page at all? And no.
Like the night before.
Like,
Yeah,
right. And it's not just reading lists. It's then my son, who's going into a senior year of high school, has a paper that he has to write, comparing and contrasting in various ways the two books that he read on his summer reading list. So yeah, I know, right? Isn't that awful? Summer vacation, awful. You get homework.
Yeah, no. We actually, I really believe in sort of letting the kids zone out. Boredom, I think, is a great part of summer. I think they should be a little bit bored. But we have really run into the problem of it's almost like atrophy. Like they don't retain what they learned the year before. So we're doing some letter writing and we're doing some other things to try to keep that muscle exercised a little bit, because it really is a problem. We've discovered as my oldest has gotten older, if we don't insist that he write some letters, that he write a short story. Obviously, we try to get them to read a lot. But if we let them completely go during the summer, it makes the fall very difficult. It makes the beginning of school very difficult. So we do try to you know, keep some exercises in place, academic exercises in place, and that's not easy either. I mean, just like you are going to have to get your son to do that writing assignment, that's not going to be easy. Kids really do need to relax over the summer, but it's kind of hitting that balance of relaxation and still keeping their mind working in an academic way. I think is really the balance.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, my oldest son, the one going into his senior year, also just got his first job, so he's dishwashing. I'm really
Nice.
excited about that. So yeah, so when he's not working and spending too much time with his girlfriend, he can do his summer homework. Now, speaking of school, you did see the story about San Francisco public schools banning chocolate milk.
I did. And again, this is another stupid regulation on the part of a school. Look, I'm sure that most parents like to say, "Oh, my children, they don't like sugary drinks or they don't like this." You know, many of these chocolate milk drinks have 1% or 2% fat. Milk is strong for bones. It's a very good nutritious source of vitamins and nutrients. They put a little bit of chocolate in it. It's not the end of the world. And again, this is all sort of, I think, a byproduct of Michelle Obama's sort of cleaning up the school lunch program, which took away a lot of things that made food taste better, like butter, like salt, like chocolate and milk. Again, what these kids end up drinking is nothing because they don't like. The only other option is skim milk. I know 50-year-olds who don't drink skim milk because it tastes terrible. And so they don't offer
Milk
high
water.
fat
Yeah.
milk. They don't offer high fat milk, which every study out there is showing how fat is really important for a child's developing mind. It helps the nutrients absorb into the body. And so you've got these systems where, I mean, again, it's sort of the whole head right or head wrong, heart right, head wrong. They mean well, but this is going to result in far less nutrients coming into children's bodies. Kids are not eating the healthy school lunches because the broccoli and the corn has no butter on it. The brown rice has no seasoning, no salt, no butter. And so again, this was probably one of the only actually nutrient dense foods. You think of chocolate milk, oh my gosh, it's awful. It's like eating a milkshake, but it's not. It's actually very low fat. Usually these are low fat chocolate milk products. And again, they're just packed with some nutrients. So, again, I'm not surprised we're seeing these kinds of things, but they're just wrong from a nutritional standpoint. And again, I think they are an outgrowth of Michelle Obama's trying to make, sort of other government officials trying to take a page from Michelle Obama, make things more nutritious when in fact they end up robbing kids of the nutrients they need.
So the San Francisco Chronicle had a piece about this, and they note the caloric savings, 35 to 40 calories will be saved per milk carton, right? Huge amount of calories. Not really. 10 grams of sugar. Which they say that's about 40% of the recommended daily allowance of sugar. So here's the really interesting thing. As San Francisco is getting ready to ban chocolate milk in the name, of students' health, in Los Angeles, where chocolate milk has been banned since 2011, they're reintroducing chocolate milk in the schools. They held a pilot program last year at 21 schools to see if they could reduce, exactly as you said, Julie, reduce waste and increase milk consumption. And the answer was yes. They found that serving chocolate milk could mean an increase of 12.5 million cartons consumed rather than wasted each year, which would translate to a 23% increase in milk consumption. Los Angeles district officials put chocolate milk back in all the district schools this spring. So, it's like they're not even learning from supposedly, this is supposed to be something, right? You learn, well, what's Los Angeles doing? And San Francisco is getting ready to make the same mistake because the virtue signaling is more important than the actual results.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, what's also amazing about this is when you look at these subsidized and free programs, it's really not the poor. The majority of the people who are utilizing these programs are people who are perfectly, they're middle class. They can afford to pack their kids a milk. I do every single day. And that's what's also disappointing. I mean, some of the food waste that we're seeing at these schools is directly related to the fact that the school lunch revisions have made food so disgusting. And again, so now they're going back. I mean, this is a classic pendulum swinging. They went. Michelle Obama's reforms went so far out of bounds that now they're having to swing it back a little bit. And I do think that many of the efforts to return butter and salt and relax some of the restrictions. Let's not forget what Michelle Obama's school lunch reforms did was federalize even more the school lunch program so that the local people, the local lunch ladies, lunch men, have no control, have absolutely no ability to decide what goes on a lunch tray. I've talked to you about this on this program before, where there are lists. They have to sort of make sure that the food they're serving is on a USDA list. So I think in many ways, we're going to see some reforms that actually bring control back to the local level, and that's good. And also return foods that are not bad. It's not terrible to put a little bit of butter on green beans or broccoli or some rice. These things are reasonable. And what I find so fascinating is that what goes hand in hand with Michelle Obama is she's a lover of gourmet food and food that tastes good, and yet she is for policies that have made school food absolutely inedible. So hopefully we can reach a happy medium so that kids are getting food that actually tastes good.
I hope so. Julie, listen, I appreciate you coming on the program. Always good talking with you today, and we look forward to doing this again soon.
Okay, good. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Julie Gunlock from the Independent Women's Forum on Twitter at jgunlock, and you can read Julie at iwf.org.